It's finally here. The NACS to CCS1 adapter that Tesla is producing just started shipping yesterday, and I just received it in the mail today, so I'm going to do my full review of this adapter next. Now, before we jump into that, people are going to say, well, wait a minute, Tom, what's that on the table over here? And didn't we see you making videos with this adapter already? And yes, this is the official Tesla NACS to CCS1 adapter, and yes, you have seen me make videos with it already. However, there's a little backstory to this. When the Supercharger network opened to Ford last month, I was one of the few people that Ford gave one of these adapters to so I could make some content and show people how to use it. However, it was a pre-production version of the adapter. So I didn't want to do a full review of it knowing that it was pre-production. And Ford told me as soon as these are ready, the production versions, we're going to ship you one. You're going to be in the first batch. They first started shipping just yesterday, and I received it in the mail today. So I'm going to open it up here today. We're going to do our full review of the official Tesla NACS to CCS1 adapter. All right, so first let's open the box and see what's inside. Now, I did this already when I got the last one, so I'm expecting it to be the same, but who knows, maybe we get a surprise. Okay, it comes with this nice card. This is the same card that came with the first adapter that they gave me, the pre-production, which I have to send back to Ford. That was the agreement. This was just for temporary use until the actual production version came out. We're going to take a look and see if I can notice any difference. At this point, I haven't opened it up yet, so I don't know, but it's the same packaging. It comes with a nice thank you letter from Jim Farley, CEO of Ford, thanking you for being a customer. I thought it was really good. We talked about it in the first video that I did. Okay, it's wrapped the same way as the last one was. Let's take a look here. Okay, so it looks exactly the same. The one thing that I was going to check for was this adapter seemed like, and I can't believe I'm talking about Tesla panel gaps, but I am. The gaps in the adapter seemed a little uneven and they didn't seem to be completely sealed, and this one's the same. So I thought that was going to be the difference between the pre-production and the production. It's not. I can actually see daylight through the corners of these, which is a little surprising, but I'm sure this outer casing here doesn't conceal any of the pins or electronics. That's probably underneath a secondary casing inside. I mean, it would have to be because you could see where water would actually seep into these corners here. Okay, so the adapters look exactly the same to me. There must be something else, or maybe the first batch that they manufactured, they didn't feel comfortable with selling them to customers, but we don't know if there's any physical difference in these. But what we're going to do now is take this to a Tesla Supercharger, like I did with the Lectron and A2Z adapter. Charge my Ford F-150 Lightning from 10% to 80%, and then I'm also going to record the temperature of the adapter every 5 minutes and plot it out on a chart to see how warm this guy gets. Okay, so off to the Supercharger. Let's start the test up next. State of Charge is powered by Qmerit. After I've helped you decide which electric vehicle charging equipment you're going to buy, follow the link in the description of my videos and let the EV charging installation professionals at Qmerit install it. Okay, well, I'm up at the same Tesla Supercharger location and even the same stall that I ran this test with the Lectron and also the A2Z NACS to CCS1 adapters. My vehicle's at 10% state of charge. We're going to charge it to 80%. We're going to take a look at the charge recording and then go over my full review for the new official Tesla adapter. So let's get plugged in, and then I'm going to take the temperature of the adapter, surface temperature. Hello. And take the temperature every 5 minutes of this recording, and then we're going to analyze it. And then my next video, I'm going to compare all of the statistics with the other two adapters, the non-authorized ones. Okay, so let's get plugged in. So with this adapter, all the adapters are different. You simply just plug it in, the NACS connector. You don't have to lift up a tab or a lock or anything. It just slides right in. Now, When I plug in my Lightning, it's going to automatically authenticate and start charging. That's because I've initiated plug-in charge on the Lightning. If you have a Ford EV, you have to make sure you've initiated plug-in charge. Otherwise, it won't communicate and start charging the vehicle. You could always just download the Tesla app and then activate your charging session through the Tesla app. The only difference with that is then Tesla gets all of your charging data. Some people care about that. In this instance, Ford gets all your charging data because I'm going through my Ford Pass app and have initiated plug-in charge. Okay, so let's take the first reading, the surface temperature of the adapter. It's 52.5 degrees right now. It's right about 55 degrees outside, and there's a cool breeze, which I think is going to help to cool the adapter off during the charging process, but we'll see. One last thing, you may have noticed, I had to pull right up to this bollard in order for the Lightning to be able to reach. There are extension cables that are in the works. Tesla's making one. I know A2Z Adapters is making one. I'm pretty sure Lectron's making one also. And I'm going to be getting a hold of those and reviewing those soon. But for now, you've got to pull your vehicles depending on your vehicle. The Lightning in particular has a very long front hood for that mega power frunk. You've got to pull it right up to the bollard in order for it to reach. Okay, so now I'm going to monitor this and we'll check out the results once it's done. Okay, so charging is complete. To release the connector from a Ford vehicle, you first want to press this button down here, and now you just grab this tab on the top and you pull it. It releases it with the locking tab there. But now the adapter is still tethered to the Tesla connector. It won't release. Underneath here on the bottom side, this is the release tab. You've got to depress it. This is one thing that I really don't like about this. It's kind of awkward. When you grab it, you can't do it. So what I've learned is you grab it from underneath this way, hold the connector with the other hand, push the tab down, and then release it that way. It's kind of an awkward unlock. I prefer the Lectron that has just like a grip where you grab it, you squeeze the handle, and it releases. So it works fine. It's just a little bit of an awkward position in order to push this tab in to release the NACS connector. And that's it. Now let's go back to the garage and analyze the results. Before we jump into the results of the test, I want to talk briefly about approved and non-approved adapters. So this adapter is made by Tesla, and it's currently the only adapter that is approved for use on Tesla Superchargers to charge CCS1 vehicles. There are other adapters on the market, but this is the only one endorsed by Tesla, as well as Ford and Rivian, the only other two companies that are allowed to use the Supercharger network so far. Other companies will follow, but those are the only ones that are currently are authorized to use the network. And my belief on this is the fact that currently there's no official UL certification for adapters. This adapter is not UL certified. It's not safety certified, even though it's the one that's allowed to be used. However, there is a safety certification being established for electric vehicle charging adapters, all of them. It's called UL 2252. It's almost finished. Once it's done, I'm certain Tesla is going to submit it for testing, as well as the other two companies of the adapters I recently reviewed, the Lectron and the A2Z adapter. Both of those adapters, according to the CEOs and engineers in the company that I spoke with, designed the adapters to pass UL 2252 certification. So what I believe is that while currently this is the only adapter that Tesla and the other automakers want you to use, once the other adapters, whichever ones, get UL certified, I think what we're going to see is the automakers say, you can use any adapter as long as it's UL certified, it's safety certified, it's fair game to use. But currently, this is the only one that's allowed to be used on the network. Now, there's no adapter police. Nobody's out there checking. But if you do have a problem and there's some sort of an issue with the adapter in your car, you'll be liable, because you can bet the automakers will say, look, you used something we told you not to use. Now, luckily, I think the chance of that happening is slim. It could happen, but I think the other two adapters have been engineered pretty well, and I think they're going to pass UL certification when it happens. But those are the only two I could speak to. There are other adapters coming on the market that are probably going to be lower quality and even cheaper. Stay away from that in my opinion. But I mean, a lot of people want to play it safe and just go with this. You can't go wrong with using the adapter that is currently allowed to be used and the one that Tesla is making. Okay, so before we jump into the review, let's just see what Tesla and Ford and Rivian have to say about unauthorized adapter use on the networks. To avoid risk of serious injury and property damage, users of Tesla charging stations may only use adapters sold or provided by Tesla or by other automakers in the United States. Your use of any other adapter with Tesla's charging stations is strictly prohibited. And currently, this is the only adapter that's sold by Tesla or other automakers. Ford and Rivian are giving these to their customers right now, but they will soon sell them. There's a small period where people have to register for them, and if you do register in time, you're going to get one for free. But after that, you're going to be able to purchase this through Ford and Rivian's websites. Okay, so that's what Tesla has to say about it. The only two automakers that are currently authorized to use superchargers are Ford and Rivian. Soon, I think Volvo and Polestar are going to be next, followed by GM, but we don't have the exact order. But those are the only two manufacturers that are currently allowed to use supercharger networks that are authorized to. And here's the statements that those two companies have on authorized and unauthorized adapters. Okay, we'll start off with Ford's. Ford does not currently recommend any third-party adapter. To avoid the risk of serious injury and property damage, only use NACS DC adapters sold or provided by Ford for use at Tesla Superchargers. And now let's take a look at Rivian's statement. Only Rivian provided NACS DC adapters are authorized for use on the Tesla Supercharger network. Use of unapproved adapters can result in damage to your vehicle. Now let's take a look at the adapter's key features. However, I want to warn you, I don't have all of the specifications for this adapter as I did with the Lectron and the A2Z. Tesla's hard to get in touch with. They don't typically respond when people ask them questions. So I did reach out to Ford and asked if they could get in touch with Tesla for me and get some of the specifications that really is not available anywhere for this adapter. I do plan on making sure I get all of them, if that's possible, at least when I do the adapter comparison video that's next. But let's take a look at what I do know about the adapter now. Okay, so while I said Ford and Rivian is giving them free to their customers now, when Ford initially posted this adapter on their parts catalog online, which they've recently taken down, it was listed as $230. So we can expect the price to be $230. The maximum voltage is 1000 volts, maximum amperage is 500 amps. Again, that's the exact same voltage and amperage as the other two adapters that I've reviewed. The unit weighs 1 pound, 11.3 ounces. The dimensions are 4 7/8 inches by 3 7/8 inches by 2 9/16 of an inch. I do not know what the enclosure's IP or NEMA rating is. I don't have that information. I also don't have the operating temperature that I always list when I do reviews. The CCS1 lock is automatic, as is the NACS locking in. They're both automatic. You don't have to flip a switch or anything like that. They just automatically latch when you attach it to the vehicle. It is not UL listed. Well, none of these adapters are. We talked about that earlier, but we are expecting that it would conform with UL 2252 because we know Tesla has been in touch with UL to design this to pass certification once it is officially complete. We don't know the length of the warranty, and I'm not 100% certain of where it's made, but I am assuming it's in the US because there is a document that says majority of content is made in the US. So I'm assuming that the adapter is made in the US. Again, I'll try to get clarity on all of these unanswered questions before I do the full comparison video. So now let's take a look at the charge recording I did from 10 to 80% of the lightning at the Tesla Supercharger using the Tesla adapter. Okay, so this is a picture of the driver's display on my F-150 Lightning. It doesn't give you a lot of information, but I do get the maximum kilowatt draw from the Ford Pass app, which I was checking consistently, and I did with the other adapters. On all three adapters, the maximum charging rate observed was 161 kilowatt. It's a little bit less than what I'll see on, say, an EVgo or Electrify America charging station. However, the total time is basically the same. We finished up with 45 minutes from 10 to 80% and added 90 kilowatt hour into the battery of the Lightning. And I also recorded the surface temperature of the adapter by taking the readings every 5 minutes. So let's take a look at how hot this guy got. Okay, so it was 55 degrees out with a nice cool breeze when I started. It actually ended at 55 degrees. It was 55 degrees during the whole charging session. When I plugged in, the adapter's surface temperature was 52.5 degrees. After 5 minutes of charging, it got up to 75 degrees. 10 minutes, it was 82 degrees. After 15 minutes, it was 86 degrees. 20 minutes, it was 87 degrees. After 25 minutes, it hit the peak temperature of 88 degrees. After 30 minutes, it was down to 85. 35 minutes, it was 79 degrees. After 40 minutes of charging, it was down to 78 degrees. And that's where it was when I unplugged it after 45 minutes of charging. Okay, so you can see the adapter performed very similarly to the A2Z and Lectron adapters. Now, as far as the build quality, it certainly seems like it's built nice and strongly. It has a nice metal tab on the top here. This is metal, the top latch that connects. I talked a little bit about the locking tab before. I don't like this recessed locking tab. I like it on one hand that it shouldn't never break because it's recessed in, but it's very awkward to unplug. I'm right-handed, so I would typically unplug the vehicle here. And now there's no easy way to take the adapter off. When I pull out under here, it won't release because I'm pulling the bottom of the adapter on an angle. You need to kind of pull it straight out. So it really is very awkward. And a couple of times when I've used this, because I've used it quite a bit now since I've had it, I feel I'm fumbling back and forth. So I found the best way to do it is to unplug with my left hand, which is kind of unnatural, and then I reach under here, grab it, and pull it off. That seems to be the only way I could really do it nice and easy in one pull. So it's a little weird, it's a little wonky, but you know, that might just be me. I suppose if I was ambidextrous, it would be a little bit easier to unplug it with grabbing it with my right hand. But it's just odd that you have to like reach into the adapter while you're holding it, whereas say the Lectron, for instance, you just grab the handle and you squeeze it and you unplug it. Now the A2Z is another issue where it has a sliding lock, which I actually found a little bit easier because I could just grab it with my hand and with my index finger just pull it out, but I don't like that locking mechanism, but we'll talk about that when I do the full comparison video. One of the things I find interesting about the adapter is how it appears to have a secondary outer case because, as I mentioned earlier, you could see in the seams of this, there's daylight in there, and that would mean water could get in there. So that means there's an inner enclosure that is the waterproof enclosure. And this may be by design so that way the outside of the adapter doesn't get warm. The inside gets warm and then the heat kind of dissipates through the cracks here. Maybe it allows air to go in and cool it. And one of the things I noticed when I did the heat test, the sides of the unit stayed really nice and cool. The hottest part of the adapter was here, this edge here. But these sides were about 10 degrees cooler than this end here. And this edge here was actually maybe 10 degrees hotter than the Tesla connector. So this is really where a lot of the heat seems to be coming out of. And that would make sense that this outer casing here isn't like the casing that's directly in contact with the innards. So I think if we were to take this thing apart, you'd find that there's some spacing in between this outer plastic and the actual plastic that holds all of the, protects all the electronics inside. So, but the adapter works fine. Seems like it's made well. I do like the fact that this is a nice metal tab here. It seems nice and strong because these things are going to be dropped. And the fact that this is recessed probably is a good thing for it breaking. It probably won't, it wouldn't break. It would be very hard to break this tab here. But again, it makes it a little awkward unplugging it. But other than that, it works fine. You know, and It's going to be interesting to see what Tesla sells these for. Again, you can't buy this shit. You can't buy it anywhere. But eventually Tesla is going to sell it. I would imagine there's no reason to put it up for sale yet because they just don't have enough of them to give to Ford and Rivian and the next manufacturers that come out with these, let alone sell them on their own website. I'd be surprised if we saw these for sale on Tesla anytime soon, which is part of the reason why so many of my followers have asked me to review the A2Z and the Lectron adapters, because you can buy them and get them, you know, relatively quickly. So, but then there's a whole approved and non-approved thing, and only you can make that decision if you want to use the one that's officially approved or if you want to take a chance and buy one that's not. I will want to thank Ford for sending this out to me, and I appreciate it. I think it's good that they're sending it out to their customers for free, as well as Rivian. I think that's really the right thing to do. I'm a little surprised that these companies are doing that, but it's a good thing for them to do, and having Supercharger access is going to really make EV life so much easier because you're virtually doubling the amount of places that you can plug in. But if you do have a Ford vehicle in particular, you have to make sure that you join the Blue Oval Charge Network and have plug and charge activated on your car. You also need to make sure that you have the location sharing, you agree to share your vehicle's location. For some reason, the plug and charge doesn't work if you've deactivated location sharing with the Ford app. So you have to make sure you check that, enable plug and charge, and then you can use it. If you don't want to go through the Ford app, as I mentioned, you can just download the Tesla app, enter your vehicle information, check the box that yes, I have an adapter, and then those stations will appear in the Tesla map so that you'll know what stations you can use. All right, well, that's pretty much it for the first go on this. It works fine. It's a liberating thing to be able to charge my Lightning at Tesla Superchargers. I'm going to follow this up, as I said, with a comprehensive comparison video between the Tesla's adapter, the Lectron, and the A2Z adapter. Hopefully, I can help you guys decide which adapter is the right one for you. Listen, if this is your first time here at State of Charge, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming electric vehicle news and reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.